This is episode 287 of the Andrew Hines Real Estate Investing Podcast. Welcome back to the show. Today I have Ara Poladian on for the second time. He was on about 3-4 years ago, sitting right beside me right now. We just recorded the episode, so I'm giving you the scoop. Today we talked about what Ara's doing with multifamily projects. So he's taking stuff in dire need of structural repair. He's taking advantage of that situation because he has a skill set that applies to it because of his background as an engineer and in construction. And he's getting some perfect burrs on big buildings that are going to cash flow. You know, he mentioned numbers, $5,000, $4,000 a month on a 12-plex and another Sixplex doing 2,000, right? Or expected to. So some of these are projected numbers, but he's in the process on these. So we talked about that. We talked about life, having kids, and my advice that people should have kids, and lots of philosophical stuff in there too. It was a great discussion. Really enjoyed it. I think you will too. And just want to remind you that if you are trying to hone your skills on evaluating buildings, evaluating deals, take a look at my cash flow spreadsheet on my website, andrew-hines.com. And if you've made it this far, show the channel some love. And if you haven't, I would love it if you'd review the podcast. And with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the episode number 287 with Ara Poladian. Hello and welcome to the Andrew Hines Real Estate Investing Podcast. I have previous guest, an old friend, Ara Poladian, on the show yet again. Second time?
Second time.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, so Ara, where we left off, you were just kind of getting into contracting. You had an engineering job. This was what, like 3 years ago?
Yeah, it would have been 3, pushing 4 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so 3-4 years ago. And give us the update. Like for anyone who's never heard your previous episode, what you do in real estate investing and in real estate adjacent. Talk to us.
Yeah, so I've always had a passion in like the construction field. So I went to school I went to McMaster for engineering. Specialized in structural, and then just your typical graduated. I got a job right away. I did consulting for a bit. It wasn't my cup of tea. I went into project management, which is like kind of the two main areas people go like after school. So I had more of a passion in the construction project management field, just because you got to learn like basically everything. You had to know a little bit of plumbing, electrical. I specialized in structural, so that came easy to me. And then COVID hit, and it was kind of the world turned upside down. I had just started a new job as a senior role in like management, and really, really lucrative job doing like really cool projects in Cambridge. And after Doug Ford shut down work with no permits, I was like the second one to go to get laid off. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to let somebody else put food on my table. I've always been entrepreneurial. My dad is a business owner, and always got motivated from that. And I just thought, you know what? This is my time. Like the world's shut down. I might as well be productive and do something. So I was actually reading a book at the time, Mark Loeffler's book about fixing and flipping houses.
Okay, yeah.
So I had reached out to him, and he gave me the simplest advice. And he's like, have you ever thought of a duplex conversion? So I just kind of went all out researching, and I was like, man, I can do this. I can do my own drawings. I can submit for my permits. So I did that, and I was pretty handy at the time. So I got I bought my first bungalow in Cambridge, and I just went all in, doing all the work myself, all the drawings, and that's really got me thinking like, I really enjoy doing this. So that led to my second one. That led to me thinking I can do this for other people, started a construction company, and just kind of baby steps throughout the way. I knew like I had to start hiring people. I started doing work for other investors, especially in like the multifamily space, renovating apartment units.
Okay.
And then that kind of opened my eyes to the multifamily game. So after things started getting really crazy and the duplex conversions weren't working, I really took the multifamily space seriously. So we got our first Sixplex in Kitchener.
When was that, like chronologically?
So that would have been now in 2022. Okay. So right before things started getting wild with the rates.
Yeah, all right. So you locked in a decent rate back then?
We got an amazing rate and it was like a small business loan.
Okay.
We still have it. It's like 3.1%.
All right. When's that up to renew? Soon?
Next
27?
Next year. Oh, yeah, it was a 3-year one.
3-year, okay.
But the good thing is we turned 4 out of the 6 units in that building. Mm-hmm. So even at renewal, we're cash flowing amazing right now. It's going to come down probably from like 2,000, like a couple $100,
Okay.
which is still fine for me because it was a 25-year AM mortgage, and just seeing the mortgage pay down
Yeah.
in 3 years, and like, to refinance, to pull out some money, but start that cycle all over again. This building is more of like a long-term play, just thinking long-term with what we've done with the rents already. You got two more. One is a huge lift. One's a 2-bed that is going to go from like 800 to 2,300.
And that's turning over?
Soon. They're an elderly couple.
That makes a big difference in the cash flow.
For sure. They're an elderly couple, so it's like, they have some health problems and stuff like that. So it isn't in me to be like, hey, can you guys leave?
Yeah.
So it's just, that one's like your typical slow and steady game. But that kind of really opened my eyes into like reaching out to landlords privately, getting the conversation going like that, which led us to our biggest project to date. It's a 12-unit building in Kitchener.
Okay.
And this is like my cup of tea. Everything wrong with it you can imagine. Well, not everything, but the biggest thing was a structural issue, which would have turned most people away. But it turned out not to even be a structural issue. It was a settlement soil issue.
Gotcha.
Basically, interior, on only one side of the building, interior load-bearing walls, they actually put it on peat gravel. So like organics.
Oh, so it's just decaying and
so absolutely no compression strength. So if you can picture like the outside walls perfectly intact,
but the center of the building was falling.
I've
seen a building like that. Yeah. So what'd you do?
So we leveraged that to do cash for keys. We actually got 11 out of the 12 out because of that issue.
You're like, the building's sinking.
Yeah. Well, they knew, right? They knew. Like the person living in that unit was like, yeah, like these tiles keep cracking and all that stuff. I was like, yeah, well, you've been here for like 6 years and it's not going to stop settling because it's on terrible soil. So 11 of the 12 left. One guy is still, he's been living throughout the whole thing. So
did you guys jack it back up?
Yeah.
And you did a new footing?
Yeah, this is a pretty crazy engineered, solution. Basically what we did is we ripped out all the concrete, supported the whole building. So using like steel beams and supporting it on the ends. And then we put in helical piles. Okay. So it ended up being like 72 helical piles.
How did you work though? Like, did you have to rip up the whole main floor? Was it a crawl space or was it a basement?
Basement.
So you had a basement you could work in.
Yeah. So we shored up the whole building, ripped out all the concrete, and then did helical piles. So now we have, some of them in the really bad areas went like 27 feet down until they got their proper torque.
Really? Did you go that far down?
Yeah, that's how bad it was.
And your other solution would have been to dig out until you found load-bearing soil, which would have been...
It would have been a mess because we would have had to dig out all that peat, somehow get it out, and then get all new gravel, pack it in and all that stuff. So we ended up doing this and then poured new, like, it's basically a structural suspended slab. Okay. So everything is tied in. It's like reinforced concrete. Everything is tied into the helical piles. So you can almost like think of it as in like a floating slab. No dirt underneath it matters anymore because it's irrelevant. It's supported by these helical piles, which are all going down. Yeah. Like the areas that really had no peat, like barely one length of helical pile even fit, which is 7 feet. And they got their torque, no problem. It was just those interior areas. But with engineering, everything's kind of over designed. We had to basically do the whole side. And then we got a company in, jacked the building up, made it perfectly level. And then, just put our new load bearing walls and we're
So you hired an outside contractor to do that?
We hired an outside contractor to do the helical pile work, the concrete work, and jacking up the building. And then our team will go in and put the load bearing walls in.
You didn't want to jack it up or you didn't have enough of the tools to do so?
Yeah, we didn't have enough tools and we just hired like an expert. Like they specify, like they like move buildings. Yeah. So they can like pick up a building and take it to another city.
So when did they just come to jack up the building? Did they go under the joists or they're under the main beam in the basement?
Yeah. So they put up a beam underneath like the really bad area. Yeah. And they use their helical piles as support. And then they just cranked it
jacked off of those.
And it literally just made everything perfectly level. It was pretty crazy.
So right upstairs, you could just go up and now everything looks good.
Everything's level, yeah. Now everything looks wonky because he would put like extra subfloor and stuff to level it out.
Now you got to fix all that.
So now we're ripping everything out. Yeah. So it ended up being a crazy, like it's a huge project.
So, I mean, most people go in, try and buy that building. They do first they do a visual inspection and say, oh, wait, I don't think we're up for that. They probably don't have the expertise or know what it would cost, or maybe don't have a contractor that would tackle that. So it's just too much for most. Yeah. So you come in and you knew that you could find guys to do it, or did you have to do a little bit of digging? Because you'd never dealt with that before.
Yeah, like I knew the basis about like the design of like how helical piles work and stuff like that. And then I used my engineering company that I actually used to work for back in the day to kind of help me out with ballpark pricing and some contractors that they use all the time for more residential style helical piles. Like you can get into like crazy commercial guys that will charge you an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of residential uses for helical piles now.
Oh, for sure. Like additions and stuff.
Yeah. So we used a company like that. They were fantastic. And the funny thing is from the outside of the building, you can't tell anything.
Yeah, that makes
Everything
sense.
looked good. It was only when you got inside and in that one unit, you really saw the tile cracking. And then as you go up, the door frames had cracks in the exact same location.
Yeah.
Every level.
Yeah.
So during our building inspection, we caught all that, which leveraged us to get a really good VTB on the building. So we got like a 75% VTB, 5% interest for 5 years.
Okay.
And leveraged all that to get the building empty. And it was almost like a new build project where like we separated all meters. Hydro was already separated, but we talked to the city of Kitchener, got separate water meters. Ripped the gas out completely. There's no gas in the building.
Yeah. Did you go for MLI or are you going for MLI?
Yeah, we were going for MLI. We got approved for 100 points like easily.
You're already approved for it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because now they've changed the rules, right?
Yeah. So now instead of getting like the full 100 points, we're only going to get 50.
Yeah.
But it still works.
That's still good. So you'll be at 45 years instead of 50.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit of a higher premium. Yeah. Yeah. But it works out because it's in like one of the best areas of Kitchener. And the unit layout was great. It's 4 3-bedroom units and 8 2-bedroom units. Okay. And the rent in Kitchener is very strong.
Yeah, like what will those rent for on average?
$2,200 for the 2 beds and like $2,400, $2,500 for the 3 beds.
Yeah. And have you worked out like what will your cash flow be when you
with MLI Select it's gonna be about $4,000 to $5,000 a month.
$4,000 or $5,000 a month.
And then
that's pretty meaningful.
Yeah, it's and honestly we're gonna be able to pull out all of our money out.
So perfect burr after doing all the work, obviously not charging for your own work though.
Yeah, that's the thing. It is like heavily like it's not passive by any means. It's
you
a full blown
put this together. At least you've got scale, because I used to do the exact same thing with the student rentals. It was just like at the end of it, I've spent like 8 months and I have 1 unit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not very scalable.
Yeah. So this is like prime building in a prime location, huge lot. So another appealing thing is there's like 20 parking spots.
Yeah.
So we're going to be able to I've noticed a lot of people are renting multiple, like it's like a couple that need two cars. It's like a big selling feature now.
So you're renting out the spots.
Yeah. So all the 3 bedrooms are going to have two spots.
But are you going to make them pay at a premium for the spots? Like
so
they pay for the spots, they pay for laundry, or is it?
So everybody has in-suite laundry.
In-suite, okay.
But we're good with them not kind of pushing their limits because they pay for water.
They pay for their own water,
right?
So it's actually properly separately metered.
It's with the city of Kitchener, we bought 12 meters and everything, and we have 12 hot water heaters. So every hydro panel has their own hot water heater. Electric hot water heater.
So they all pay fully their own utilities.
Yeah, we have the only utility bill we're going to have is a house meter, hydro
for like your hallways.
So common light, exterior lights, hallway lights.
Are you doing any hallway heating?
Yes. So still trying to get the kinks out for that because it used to be on rads.
For a boiler, right?
Yeah, but we're ripping the boiler out. That's non-existent. So we'll see what the city wants us to do. Maybe like baseboard heaters or something. I'm not exactly sure what they want. It's not a huge common space either.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll just
that'll be the only annoying thing, because then like the electric heat will kind of be expensive to run for
the winter months.
Yeah, for those. Otherwise, it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
So that's just one of the ones you got going on right now. Do you have others that you're working on too, or?
Yeah. And then we got a 4-unit building in Kitchener as well. That was fully vacant on the buy, and then we negotiated being able to renovate before we close.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and then the cool thing about that one, again, like I love like the construction aspect of it. It has 4 garages in the basement. So we got a certificate of approval from the city for 2 more units, and now it's time for
a garages. Are they accessible from the outside?
Yeah,
like from the rear or something like that.
Yeah. It's almost like, it looks like from the back. It looks like a walkout.
Okay,
and you just see 4 like garages.
So you're turning those into units.
Yeah, 2 more 2-beds.
So you'll have a Sixplex.
Yeah, we were trying to do 4 bachelors, but it was a mess with the city, not enough parking, stuff like that. So I thought they would let, like, they wouldn't require a bachelor to have a parking spot specifically because there's bus routes and stuff in the area too. But we went with the two beds.
You can go for a minor variance, but
Yeah.
you never know.
Yeah. It's still early in the game. We could still technically try to get it.
Yeah. So give me an idea, like ballpark of numbers. So something like that, like a fourplex with that kind of potential. High level, what do your numbers look like going in, renovating?
Yeah, so something like that. We overpaid for the fourplex because of the opportunity and for the vacancies. So we like to buy around the 200 a unit.
200 a unit? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that where you were on the 12plex?
Yeah, so that one was for 2.4. But for this one, we paid 300 a unit.
Okay.
But like
so 1.2, and then rentals are going to cost you how much?
So upstairs 2 units were vacant. The landlord actually lived there, and his kids lived in the other unit.
Okay.
He renovated those beautifully.
Okay.
So all we had to do there was to add like heat pumps.
Okay. So like $5,000 total.
Yeah. Our heat pumps are a little bit more expensive. They're about 8 per unit.
8 per unit.
Yeah.
So I did this in my garage, but you can get them on Amazon. They're really good because I paid a guy to install it, and he's like, "Oh, this is just as good as the ones that he uses." It was like $14.99.
Yeah.
For like a high efficiency one that can go down to minus 35.
Are these vented though?
No.
Okay,
so
we're
be vented.
Yeah, so we have the 12 unit ones. They're actually like
they're a heat exchanger. Sorry, they're a heat pump and an HRV.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's handy.
So so 2 different sets. The 4 unit, they're a bit cheaper. They don't actually have like almost looks like a furnace.
Okay.
But that's what we got in the 12 unit. So every unit has like their own. It almost looks like a mini furnace
on the wall.
In like a little closet we made.
You put it in a little closet, and then it vents through, and then
into every single room.
Oh, so it's proper ducted.
It has all ductwork. Yeah.
So it's a ducted heat pump.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not just like kind of blowing and you're hoping it gets to the areas. It's actually properly ducted.
And that's $8,000 a piece.
About, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually not bad for that kind of a setup.
Yeah. That's also labor included to do the ductwork.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's all right. So then what do you have for the main floor units?
Main floor units, we did like our style, like full reno.
Yeah.
And then we're all in going to be about 300, 400 max on all the renos.
Okay, so including those 2 heat pumps upstairs.
Yeah, for everything.
So you'll be max 1.6 million all in.
Yeah, 1.6 pushing 1.7 at the absolute most.
Okay.
And then it'll easily get appraised for like 2.2, 2.3, pushing 2.4 depends.
Okay, so if it was 2.4 times 0.75, or are you going to get it?
We don't want to like over leverage it. Yeah,
so you just go points. So you'll be perfect burr on that.
Yeah.
And what's 2.4 on a per door basis for that? That's 6. You're 400 a unit. So appraisers are supporting that 400 a unit.
Yeah. On the low end, like I know people that got like 375 all day per door. So 2.4 might be on the high end, like 2.2. But then we're okay with going up to like 80% loan to value.
Right.
And
no CMHC there.
No, this one's CMHC.
You do CMHC as well?
This is MLI Select, yeah.
So you keep the loan to value at 75 even though you're doing MLI?
Yeah, like honestly, like whenever I do these projects, if I get all my money out or close to, I'm totally happy.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And then you're working with the basic capital that you put into each deal.
Yeah, and then just recycle the capital.
Recycle that capital.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's handy. If you get your money out of it. So on that one, you take the 75% leverage. What do you figure your cash flow will be?
That one's going to be about $2,000.
$2,000.
Yeah.
So keep stacking them up.
Yeah. Honestly, they're bigger projects. That's the thing. Like you really have to have that appetite, and like we control it in house. Like I'm involved in the building permit process. I'm not just hiring one person. Well,
that's part of the reason that you're doing it for the price you're doing it at. Like if you were hiring outside contractors, you're going to be several $100,000 more probably.
And then like, if you're not familiar with the construction, problems can arise and you're just like stressed. You don't know what's going on. But like we're fully, like I have a site supervisor, carpenter that are on site every day.
Yeah, you sound like me. That's what I used to do. Yeah. I'm sure we talked about this like 3 years ago. Went through this in detail. You need to get a site super.
Yeah, and then now we're just doing it on a bigger scale because honestly, like MLI Select is bailing a lot of people out
for sure
with these projects. But they're good. Like so, the 4 units alone still got approved for like commercial 75% commercial financing on the buy. Right. So like the 4 unit I just rented them all out. It gets $9,000. Okay. For the 4 units. They're all 2 beds. So that is about $2,250 a month.
Yeah, $2,250. Yeah.
Plus hydro.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're still paying for water.
That one we're paying for water. Yeah.
and
but only
not
2
heat
units
though, because they're going to
not
have
heat.
electric heat. Oh,
Yeah.
that's such a sneaky, awesome way to get tenants to pay for heat.
So this one too. So this one had a bit of a cheaper heat pump. It's because it needs a backup source. So we're keeping the baseboard heaters just for backup.
Yeah, you need a backup source for heat pumps, right?
Yeah, not the one at the 12plex. The 12plex does not need any type of backup because of how intense the unit is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So this one is like in the ceiling. The one at the 4plex.
Yeah.
There are units in the ceiling. So in the hallway, we kind of just drop the ceiling, put the heat pump in there. It's all vented to all the units, and yeah.
It sounds like they're great projects. The question I have for you is like most people have some form of active that they do that kind of puts the food on the table, because that's more of your long-term money, what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
So how does that play out for you?
Yeah. So my active, so from my construction company, we flip houses.
Okay. So you're flipping houses on top of this.
Yeah. We're flipping houses on top of this. We're not like crazy, like 6 flips on the go kind
just
of thing.
doing enough to like keep.
Honestly, we just go one by one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing one house at a time?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I do
What,
for flips.
what do you target for that kind of thing?
I always budget like between 50 to 60,000 in profit for a flip.
Okay.
And then I got my realtor license, so that kind of double ends it, where I can get the commission as well.
So you get a commission on the buy, you get a commission on the sell.
Yeah. If we're getting from a wholesaler, I don't get a commission on the buy, but on the sale, yeah.
Okay, so you're doing 50 to 60. How long are these typically taking you?
My shortest one was a month, and then my longest one is 3 months.
Oh, okay. So you're on the low end doing 4 a year.
Yeah.
So
it depends. So it's not like we're not sending out mailers or anything like that. We're just basically going through
buying on market?
No, through wholesalers.
Okay, wholesalers.
Yeah, but I have like good relationships because they know the type of deals and like how we close and everything like that. So I wouldn't say 4 per year. It's more when the deal comes up. I'm always analyzing deals.
Okay.
But we'll only pull the trigger if the deal makes sense.
Oh, gotcha. So you might only do two in a year. They take you very little time. But then you go back to focusing on what you're doing.
Yeah. So like last year we did like 3. This year only 2. Stuff like that.
And do you ever take money out of so you got your short, do you ever take money out of your long-term like refinances, like extra to cover personal needs, or is it just totally separate and you're just
totally separate? Yeah. Because I also utilize my realtor license.
Selling for other people too?
Yeah, specifically investment properties.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically, I really want to utilize the license more.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like I can really help a lot of people like get into actually good investments.
Yeah, well, you understand it.
Yeah.
That's key, right? Somebody who understands it, can speak the language, it helps.
Yeah, and we're always talking to landlords like privately. I have an offer on 2 more Sixplexes from the same guy that sold me the 12plex, which he basically told me like, I just want to work with you, or like we're good to go if you want to put an offer in. So we have 2 more Sixplexes offers out on those, and yeah, we're just keeping it going.
Okay. What else you got going on? Like active business wise, things you're doing. So you're a realtor, you're doing your long-term burrs, you're doing your short-term flips.
Yeah, that's honestly, it's taken up most of my time, along with keeping the kids sane at home. I got 4 little ones at home, so that takes up a lot of my time as well.
Yeah, I don't know. We were talking about this off camera. Like, I don't know how you do it. I got 1 right now with another on the way. And
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And that's enough. We're finally getting to a point, because he's 2.5, like 2 and 7 months. Like it's fun now, you know. Like he can kind of play. He occasionally will play independently. Yeah, and it buys back a little freedom, a little taste of it. And then obviously we went and screwed that up.
Yeah, I found as they get older and they have each other, it frees up a lot of time, because
they'll play with each other.
They play with each other, and they have more fun with each other than with you, because they're past the point where. Yeah, you know, like we still like wrestle and all that fun stuff, but they like, my girls want to like play dolls, right? Yeah. And they're just sitting for hours. Like, hey, you guys hungry? Like, can we get you guys some food? Yeah. But they're playing with each other so much, and then always try to make time and like do at least like 1 or 2 trips a year where you can really spend one-on-one time like all week and not worry about work. But my wife's also stay at home mom, so that really helps. Yeah, that really helps take the load off me.
What did she do before stay at home?
She was an interior designer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did she help with any of your projects at all?
Before we had so many kids, she was not full time, but she was designing everything. So everything we were doing, from rentals to flips, everything was just like, Paul's like, what do you want us to do? And she would pick everything. Yeah. But now we kind of have a sense of how she did things, that it's more plug and play.
Yeah, you just have like a prescribed, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, we switch it up. Like flips, we switch it up. Rentals, not really. Flips, we do switch it up, and we don't do so many that we can have like a design board for a flip. But yeah, she was fully like helping with picking and trying to make it look unique.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's great to have somebody like that on your team.
And it really helps with just like, I wouldn't say she's full-time at all, but she's available when
if you have a question, if you need input.
Yeah, but
she's got enough work to do.
Yeah, she's full-time mommy duty, so
that's insane. Like, I don't think people without kids could understand how much even one kid is work. Like 4.
Yeah, it is a lot. It is a lot, but honestly, it's what we wanted in life, and they're a blessing.
Yeah, there's such funny narratives, like celebrities saying, like, I heard that my wife said there's a new show called Kids Ruin Everything. I'm like, that's an insane statement. It's like, that's kids like literally make life worth living.
Yeah, that's literally like demonic. Like that's
it's ridiculous. Yeah. Like such stupid narratives. Like you can't know until you have kids. Anyone on the fence, just do it.
Oh no,
Andrew's advice.
Yeah, 100%. And like the Bible even talks about like kids are the number one blessing you can have from God, and it's so true.
Puts a smile on my face every day. Like my level of happiness is just so much higher on a daily basis because of having a son, and now I'm about to have another.
Yeah, no, it's the best. Like, when you're stressed, and you just go pick up your kid and play with them, wrestle a little bit, and it's just, you're not thinking about work and stress and everything like that. You're just loving life.
Like I walk in the door and my son like runs around for like 2 straight minutes making car noises, like running to me. I pick him up in the air and then he runs around the house again. It's like, what kind of greeting? Like, how can you ever get that greeting? You could say your dog might greet you friendly, but that's like,
no, it's for sure. And when what got me is, even when I just have one kid, is like when they want you. Yeah. When they reach their arms up, they like, want you to pick them up. Yeah. And it's just like, you really like feel love. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's like, to me, one of my absolute biggest motivations in life is to like make sure that my family has like a great future.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things that as an entrepreneur, people think, oh, I got to accomplish it first. Like, I didn't have it figured out first.
Yeah.
You just had kids. It was, we knew we wanted to, and, there's never a good time, but it forced me to be better.
Yeah.
Like, so much better.
We started like really early too. Like I was 25 when I had my first kid.
Yeah.
So
I wish I'd had that foresight. Like, I had that, I want to do all this first mentality. I do regret that. Right. Like I would have happily started earlier and had like 8 kids by now.
No, I totally agree. Like I don't think there's one right way to do it. But I could never think of people that like postpone or not wanting to have kids just for their business.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's so twisted. Like you hear even like the statistics of like people like getting depression in their 50s when they have no kids.
Imagine that. Like, again, speaking to anybody who's thinking, I don't want to have kids, think about it again, because when you're 60 and you have no kids, like I was talking to a guy about a month or 2 ago, and he like literally teared up because his kids weren't going to have kids. He wasn't going to get grandkids.
Yeah.
Imagine not even having the kids.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I know this is a real estate show, but it's also a life and like mindset show too.
100%. Yeah. And the look on my parents' face when they're with their grandkids.
Yeah.
It's just like I see in my mom's face, because she's like our number one babysitter. And it's not like a burden for her to come over and take care of our kids. Like, it's like literally how she finds happiness.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Yeah, even my dad, who's been an entrepreneur, didn't enjoy our childhood as much because he was working so hard on building his business. Now he'll talk to me like, "Hey, when are you bring the grandkids over?"
Yeah, that's great.
And so there's no, like I said, there's no right way to do it, but I don't think you should not have kids only for like, how much cash flow do you need at 60 with no kids? And like, how much golf can you do at 60?
Yeah,
without like. And when all like you have friends that like they're going to their kids' graduations and eventually like they're becoming grandparents.
Oh yeah, you feel left out.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, just do it. That's the end of our rant for now. Yeah. I give this advice fairly often. It's funny.
I agree.
Yeah, I could smack myself around from my younger years, but here we are. So give me a high level what your thoughts are, Ara, like where you're going next 5 years. Are you sticking solely to Ontario, knowing that there's a bit of an exodus, but also a lot of people still making lots of money here, and you're one of them. So
yeah, I'm not giving up on Ontario at all.
Yeah.
I've noticed like there is a softening in rent. Mm-hmm. It's taking me longer to rent out a unit than it did 2 years ago. But we just have to be realistic with your numbers. and I think I am. Like before, maybe you could get $2,400 for a 2-bed because people were desperate. Now, like run your numbers properly. Like see what kind of amenities you have. Like a fully renovated for us. We just rented one, no in-suite laundry, 1 parking spot, but a beautifully renovated unit, $2,150.
Nice.
But then we get like $2,250 to $2,300 if it has, you know, the washer, in-suite laundry, and 2 parking spots. You're getting up to like $2,300. Even one that had literally nothing, like bare bones. Doesn't even have a dishwasher, but it's like builder grade renovated. Got $2,000, and then they wanted the extra parking. They ended up paying $2,100. Yeah, so it's steady, like it's consistent. You can put it together, and it's a really good area. Like that's why I believe in Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo. Waterloo, not as much because there's some big players and there's a lot of students, and it's a different ball game. But Cambridge and Kitchener specifically, it's just grown so much.
Oh yeah, and it's right on the corridor. Obviously, you're not living there anymore, right?
No, I'm not living there. I moved to Toronto just for my kids. They go to a school that I've always wanted them to go to.
West End, East End?
East End. Yeah, I'm technically it's the border of Scarborough and Pickering, but it is Pickering.
Good Lord, do you do that drive a lot?
Once a week, I come to Cambridge. Yeah, 407 is a beautiful thing, though.
Yeah, 407 helps. It's nice to get out a bit. I've got a very large disdain for driving like from West Toronto to East. Also now transferring to Hamilton. I do not like going to the other side of Hamilton.
Honestly, for me, I only do it once a week, and I use it to like I catch up on podcasts. It does feel like the drive for me is actually nice. I could never do it every day. Yeah, but that once a week, I kind of look forward to it, just to like be alone in my thoughts, listen to a podcast, make phone calls, and I feel like I do my best thinking.
Yeah, in the quiet. Quietly driving. I do get some good thinking in when I do that. Look at the benefit of everything. It works out. We make it work. I take my kids to school. I go to Cambridge. Yeah. And then it's crazy coming home, so I take the 407 home. We make it work. You come home, and then what time are you usually getting home if you're on the road for the day? You're like a 6 p.m. get home kind of thing?
Around 5.
Yeah, and then you're straight into dinner, bedtimes. Yeah. Insanity until like, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, the kids are all asleep by 9, and then
you're working, doing everything.
Yeah, which I don't want to be. I'd rather, take a break, sleep, and then wake up early and get to work. But it's usually me working till like 11 midnight.
So I think it's a good segue, kind of understanding work-life balance. So you're not sleeping more than like 6 hours a night right now?
No, 6 is on the minimum. I try to get my 7 hours. Yeah,
6, 7. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So you go to bed at midnight, you said ish?
Yeah, call it midnight to like 7, but that's going to change. It's going to be like from like 10 to 5.
Work itself out.
It's going to work itself out, especially when the kids are all in school and stuff like that. It's gonna. I love like the best thing is like waking up in the morning. Yeah, like early. Yeah, like 5 a.m.
I agree. I'm a morning guy. Like
I love it.
I just I don't want to wake my son up, so he sleeps in our bed. So I usually wait till he's up, and then I'm always on duty with him the second he does. But yeah, sneaking out by like sometimes he'll sleep until 7:15. Yeah. Other days he sleeps till 6:15. So very unpredictable. Yeah. And he's not down until like 8:20 now. Okay. So it's just like, where do I get my extra work time?
That's my thing. Yeah. And I've done it in the past, especially when I didn't have employees, where I was like getting up at like 6, call it. I'm on the job site by like 7:38, working until like 5. Yeah. Seeing like my kids, putting them to bed, and then working till midnight. Yeah. Just on like the project management paperwork stuff. Yeah. And then recycling that. But I noticed like I gained weight. I didn't feel healthy. Yeah. I always felt tired. Yeah. And it just wasn't worth it.
No, for sure not. Yeah. Like that's the thing. Like when we're busy and we all do it, like we make certain compromises with our health, which we know aren't good. Yep. Like eating fast food or even just eating packaged food. Yep. And even like going into like digging into like the oils we're using and the cooking utensils we're using, it's like, man, this is a rabbit hole. Oh, I know it shouldn't use plastic, shouldn't use Teflon. Oh my God.
Oh, my wife is definitely in that rabbit hole.
Yeah, we're into all that. Shouldn't be drinking everything organic plastic
and all that stuff. These shampoos are bad. These body washes are. Yeah.
It's so funny. Like we all do it. We all sort of know, that's not good, but like everybody else is doing it. Yeah. And I only got so much time in the day. Yeah. It's like a full-time job just to like figure out the Rubik's Cube of life.
It is. And then when you compromise everything just for like more money, compromising your health. I noticed that like right now I'm down like 14-ish pounds and it's so motivating to keep going. I've been like fasting in the morning, just having like black coffee, lots of water.
Yeah, I feel really good when I do that.
Yeah.
I fast during weekdays usually for like sometimes until 2 or 3 p.m.
Yeah. And then now in the summer, like I feel like you have to do something for that like mental break.
Yeah.
And for me, we were talking about self
Golf,
air. It's like if I can even just the driving range, something like once a week.
Yeah. Is your wife supportive of that?
Yeah, 50-50.
Yeah, my wife, she considers my going to work my escape.
Yeah, which is not really an escape.
A little bit of an oversimplified.
Yeah, but what I've been doing this year is if I try to golf like once a week, once every 2 weeks, but I'll walk.
Yeah,
I'll even like sometimes carry my clubs, and then I have a watch that tracks. I'm walking like 13 kilometers in that.
That's amazing.
4 to 5 hours, and you feel great.
I do it. I need to get my stamina up first to walk, because if I walk the range by the 18th, 17th hole, like I'm not even swinging properly.
Yeah, you're gassed.
My game is just done. Yeah. Even in the cart. So I went with Erwin and a couple other people. Back in May, we played Rattlesnake, which was amazing, beautiful course. Somehow it was just broke 100. So I felt good about that.
Nice.
People listening are like, what a joke. That's terrible.
No, breaking 100 is solid, man. That's solid.
But like I was crushing. I thought there was a good chance to shoot low 90s, but just out of gas by like 17. Oh, it fell apart.
It's funny. I'm back like before when I golfed a lot more. Yeah. My goal was to always break 90. Yeah. But like, I don't know, I would call it last 4 years where I've been so busy. Yeah. I'm always in the 90s, like mid 90s, high 90s, whatever. And then I just played last week, shot a 41 on the front.
Beautiful.
And I was like, dude, I'm going to like be like low 80s. I've never done this before. Yeah. I ended up shooting like 89 because I was just gassed. Yeah. I was carrying my clubs too. And by the end, you just
destroys you, right? Gassed. But I feel like if you play enough walking, then eventually you'll adapt. You'll be good with that. Yeah. We've gone tangent from real estate a little bit.
But but honestly, all these things are important, man.
I like it. Yeah. Because it's so like, why do you do real estate? Like, it's not because for me, I'm well past like loving bricks and mortar or loving a door. I like what it can create, but I've always been the curious mind of like, what's this perfect equation for like a happy and independent and like a free life? Yeah. And that's the thing, right? You create and you work on your empire. You build the machine that will allow you to build your family and do it all together so that you can, that's the happiness right there.
Yeah. And honestly,
be with them, right?
And I feel like when you do get those, like, your mental break doesn't have to be golf. It could be anything, but I feel like you end up helping your business in the sense where you're more like dialed in now because you got that break and now you can just go rather than like you slow down that burnout factor. Yeah. And even for me as a dad, I just feel like I got like a round of golf in this week, whatever. The next day I'm so excited to just be with my kids. Right? Yeah. Or just be with my kids and show them like one-on-one, like dad time. Yeah. Rather than being like, you got to feel like,
exactly.
Golf.
And I feel like that a lot of the time too, like it's like, when's their time to do this or that? And I think it's really important to put that stuff on the calendar. Yeah. Put like scheduled golfs or whatever it is on the calendar. And it's like when you're going on vacation and you're like the most productive you've ever been the day before your vacation. Well, the same effect works if you put something like you've committed to, like golf or leisure or whatever it is.
Yeah, so you got to get your work done.
Got to get your work done.
Yeah, when you put those hard deadlines for sure. Or even I've noticed after a vacation. Yeah. When I had a really good time, but I am like fully like, because I love what I do, right? Work doesn't feel like work to me. So after vacation, I feel like just locked in. Yeah. You know what I mean? And ready to go with work. So
see, I say all this and like work sort of is a vacation to me sometimes, depending on the type of work. I like to work, but I want to work on the things I want to work on.
100%.
Yeah. 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 So designing buildings and like solving a puzzle, which I consider like renovating an old building, is like, how are we going to do this? That was always like one of my absolute most favorite things to do.
I still love it. Yeah. That's why we're still doing it. I am going to start looking into potentially in the next couple of years, start investing in the US a bit, pick one market and do some type of multifamily. I'm doing a coaching program right now just to kind of open my eyes to that. My wife is dual citizen, so I think it's a good way to get in that market a little bit. And honestly, it's not because I don't believe in Canada or anything like that, just a hedge.
Well, it's great to hedge. And I've been very balanced about this. Like my business partner, Matt, is less balanced about it. He's like, nah, Canada's done. I still think you can make money here. You can make money in any market. Let's be clear about that. Yep. It's just some are going to be more suitable to some people than others. Like you have a very specific angle that works here well for you. Obviously, rock and roll with that. It makes a ton of sense. But I still believe in hedging, right? Like not diversifying, right?
Yep.
Not putting all eggs in one basket. And that's why I think it's nice to, like, I think for a lot of people, it's like build evenly, build on both sides of the border.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be exactly that. US is likely not going to work for a one-off. That's one thing I'll say for sure.
Yeah.
You're not going to go buy a house down there and then go file tax returns for that one house.
Exactly.
Like, just don't do that.
Yeah.
Like go with a plan and execute that plan, or don't do it.
Yeah. And like talk to like people that have done it and that can really help you with your specific situation. Like not everything is going to work for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. Like not everybody wants to go buy 10 single family homes in a market they've never heard of in the US and never go see their property. Some people want to be in Ontario or in Alberta. Yeah. I don't think there's like one style fits all for everybody.
100%. Like it's such a figure out where you lie on the spectrum of active to passive, where you need to be, and then what your resources are, and then put together a plan that actually
like you guys
makes sense.
Are killing it in the States now with your new business. But it is an active
we're building out a full out active business, but we're building it with the idea of firing ourselves.
Yeah.
So, which, that's the way you have to build a business. Like it needs to run without you. And rarely am I calling a client. I'm usually just calling our team. I'm advisory. So eventually we'll hire within to a supervisory role that will sort of fire Matt and I more so. We'll never be fully fired, but we'll be mostly fired. And still profitable would be, that's the idea.
Yeah. So that's our goal. Honestly, I do want to really push the realtor side of things. Yeah. Just because I feel like there's an opportunity there for me to really help people. And we're just going kind of gung ho, always looking at deals in KWC.
Perfect. Yeah. So you're not going to go to other cities. Like you're just going to stick with that, even though you're
in Ontario. In Ontario, we're going to just stick to KWC
because you're set up, teams there. Yeah. Market's obviously pretty stable.
Yeah. If I'm going to go somewhere far, I'd rather look into. I'll look into any market. Yeah. Wherever the numbers make sense. Like
the second it's not within a quick drive, it's like why not just look wherever?
Yeah. What's the point?
And that's the way I feel about it, right? Like if I was going to look in London, Ontario, that's already a distance from me. Why not just look in somewhere in the States? Like.
Yeah, that's exactly how I'm.
Because either way, I have to delegate, hire people. What's the difference if it's, obviously there are some differences, but it's still like the idea and the goal is for me not to be needing to babysit it. I need to be able to do it remotely. So I'm with you there. Yeah. What are some things? So I like to ask questions like this because it works well for like promotional stuff and like reels. Going back to like when you got let go from your job. Like what if, a lot has happened since then. What are some words of advice you would give your former self if you could to you from 4 years ago when you were just losing your job and, things you wish you'd known?
I think the biggest thing is like not to follow like the mob with whatever is hot right now and you just kind of jump right on it. Mm-hmm. Really get opinions from multiple different people on certain things that you're not familiar with. Mm-hmm. Example with me was interest rates. I remember when I started, everybody was saying like variable is the way to go. And I remember even after refining a property, fully stabilized, pulled all my money out, like my first duplex conversion. I'm just thinking like, what was my logic on getting a variable rate? The variable rate was like 1.5. Yeah. Or I could have fixed it for 5 years for 1.75. Knowing very well I'm not selling this building and I've refied it to the highest capability and I've pulled my money out. Mm-hmm. Right. So that cost me a lot of money. Yeah. So I've definitely kind of learned about what stabilizing a building actually means and the ability to like sleep better at night knowing you're locked in for however many long. If you're getting a CMHC mortgage for 10 years or a regular mortgage for 5 years, that's locked in and you know your cash flow for the next 5 years. Mm-hmm. That was one example for me. Just not just kind of everybody says this, so it must be right.
Yeah, I could not understand the obsession people had with going with variable rates when things were so low. I had 2 refis I did the year before everything went up, both into fixed rates because I'm like, how could it get lower? Like how much lower can rates go? Because the only thing I worry about with fixeds is the interest rate differential. So if rates drop to 1%, now I'm on the hook for 1% difference. So if I'm at 2, I'm on the hook for that 1% for the remaining term of that contract, which could be a lot of money. But I just didn't see that happening. Like rates were at historic lows. It's like, what are the odds?
Yeah.
But yeah, each to their own. Like with rental properties, it is always nice to have variables because you can break them real easy.
Yep.
And fixed there are implications. But of course, if rates go up, it's just typically just a 3 month.
Yeah. But like you said, like nobody was really talking about that. Like I remember like everybody getting variable rates.
Yeah, no, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it. I don't like to tell people one way or another because it's totally a comfort level. And I do understand the reason if you have rental properties and you think you might be selling them.
Of course.
Then you kind of put yourself in that pickle where you probably want to have that flexibility. But you still have it. It's just if rates do fall further, then yeah, you could be on the hook for a big
even
chunk.
when we were buying duplex conversions, it made perfect sense to get variable right away because we know we're going to refi.
Yeah, because you can break it.
Yeah.
So you can also do the blend and increases and stuff if you're keeping it with the same lender.
Yeah.
There's like angles with that stuff.
Yeah, but really just like talk to as many people who've done it before.
Yeah.
So you can get like your true advice.
Yeah. You want qualified advice, right? You don't ask your plumber for advice on wiring a panel. Yeah, I agree with you. So you want to take qualified advice, as we said. You don't want to be taking advice from people who aren't qualified to give it. So it's great if you can get some stories. You've done a great job outside of observation of just like going from a guy who didn't really insert yourself into the community content wise to just like reaching out to people you were following. You reached out to me, came on the podcast, went on a bunch of other shows, and all of a sudden you went from no one knew who you were to a bunch of people knew who you were.
Yep.
And that's critical, like, because it's not just who you know, it's who knows you. And you have an ability to just generate a lot of respect from people and speak the language. And it's been great knowing you. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that way too. And I'm not sure where I'm going this, but I just really feel like that's helped you along. Like you've been a value add to people along the way, sharing and just being relatable.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people will sense when you're just trying to use them.
Yeah.
And when you're being genuine. And I notice a lot of people in our industry do like to share and help.
Yeah.
And they like to see when Mark Loeffler said this to me where he gave me that advice and he saw what I did in that year. And he was like almost like proud of me. Like, wow, he actually took my advice and did it.
Yeah.
That's nice to see when, it does feel nice to give back and help people, right? It genuinely does feel good. And there was lots of people that helped me. Like I've reached out to Matt Pichet, who was the duplex conversion master. And when I was starting, I would see his content and throw him a quick question and
he'd answer.
Appreciated his time and all that stuff, even if it's just a quick reply on Instagram. Yeah. Like people are willing, like if you're just every day asking, can we jump on a call, this and that, you're using them.
Yeah, the jump on the call thing is like, that doesn't work. But for sure, like the quick message. Yeah. If I'm putting content out there and you respond to it, I'm going to respond back. Exactly. Usually, and as long as it's in, good, how do we put this? It was a positive response to the content. And that helped me. If people reach out to me on Instagram, whatever, I feel obligated. Like, man, all these people helped me out. I can't be the guy being like, oh, I don't have time for you. Sure. Yeah, the real estate is a funny one like that because people actually share. So many industries, people like won't share, and there are some in the real estate industry that won't tell anyone what they're doing because they don't want somebody to snake a deal from them. That does exist, but there's such a community of people willing to share. Yeah. Take this podcast for instance. I said this many times. If I had this and the people and the resources back in like 2011 when I bought my first properties, things would have been a lot different. Yeah. But hey, you live and learn.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I don't think you can dwell on the past. Like I've made mistakes for sure. I bought my primary residence when it wasn't the time to buy a primary residence, stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like everything that you do kind of sets you up, like even failures you learn from. Yeah. Right. So I've learned more in the last 2 years than my first 2 years where everything seemed like it couldn't be better.
Yeah. You just got to keep learning and then have some swagger about it. Like when you figure something out, double down and make it count. Right. Like for me, my plan is to make it count. Like I wasted some time. So now I'm going to do far more in a far shorter period of time. Because of it, but I've learned I'm way more capable now than I ever was before.
Yeah, and I feel like we're always like chasing like entrepreneur mindset. You always feel like you're not doing enough.
Oh, everybody.
Yeah.
Like, but that's kind of an ingredient of being an entrepreneur. Like you always know you could do more.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, Ara, is there anything you wanted to share that I haven't asked you about?
No, I think we covered everything. Real estate and non-real estate. So yeah, I'm honestly an open book. If anybody ever has questions, wants to reach out.
Yeah.
If they have just construction experience or questions that they're really stressed out about and want to ask me, or want to use our services in, as the realtor side, help them buy a building, or
what areas?
KWC, if you're looking to buy an investment property, and
That's
KWC, I will help you better than most.
Okay.
But if you're in other areas, I can always help you find somebody. But again, I'm not going to act like I'm a master in all areas. But KWC, I know my numbers, I know the rents, I know renovations. So
cool.
We're definitely there to help. Like I helped an investor friend of mine. We have a deal under contract in Cambridge, and he was just worried about like simple structural stuff in the basement, and he's like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And it was just like a stuff I've done a million times.
Yeah,
it was just like a floor joist that was cut too much that just needs like sistering.
Yeah.
So like simple stuff like that would take the stress off somebody. I can really help them out with. So if you're wondering about investing, we're not raising capital or anything like that. So I'm not going to pitch anything like that, but more for my services as a realtor. That's probably number one. I think I can help you out.
Sure. And people reach you where?
Email, Instagram is probably the two best.
Okay, so you'll share that with me. I'll put it in the show
I'll put
notes.
my email with you, and then or follow me on Instagram. It's just my name.
Perfect.
They'll find me if they search my name or my company, Poladian Construction.
All right, cool, man. Well, thanks for coming over.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, keep in touch.
You got it.